The Ascension glossary, my friends, if you have never heard of it, you need to buckle your seatbelt and really be in your sovereignty when you go in there. And it's not because it is a bad place to go. It's just because it goes down a lot of rabbit holes. It's really fun. But sometimes when I go in there, I have to stop myself because there's so much information that I have to really cater it to what I need and curate it for me. Welcome to Activations with JJ. In today's episode, we will be discussing our cosmic origins, how to determine our star connections, and also a little bit about the planetary stargates, which are affecting our ascension process. This is definitely going to be a deep dive, but I'm excited to go there with you. So let's get right into it. Greetings and welcome to another episode of Activations with JJ. Ikanakaya tukukuya nakataria. Today we are going to get very, very galactic. And many of you know from past episodes that this is a theme in the next several months, is this idea of our galactic origins, our cosmic origins, you might say, as well as the galactic templates that are being integrated into the planetary grid and literally into our bodies as we go through this ascension process. Today is going to be quite the deep dive, so I encourage you to take out a notebook or something to write with so that you can track all of the information that will be coming into your field. I absolutely sense that many of the concepts I bring forward will just touch the tip of the iceberg, but I know that it will open doorways for you to do more exploration on your own. So here we go. So as I've been receiving information through my own channel around this idea of our galactic templates, the galactic Akashic records, which is a huge theme for this month, I've had a lot of content come before me, and sometimes it drops in. Spirit just says, here, this is for you. And one of the pieces of content, I was scrolling through Instagram and I stopped at this video, which I'll share in the show notes below. But this particular post really resonated with me. I had a feeling that this person had drawn it from a different resource, but I kind of just sat with it and it really made sense. And in a nutshell, if you click on the link, you'll know this person talks about how rather than being one specific starseed, that we travel through many different planets or different existences to come into this human incarnation. And we each have our unique pathway into that. So many of these planets or places include ones that you're familiar with that I talk about a lot, like Lyran, Pleiadian, Arcturian, etc. Well, at the same time, I ended up connecting with someone else who reminded me about a resource that I have referred to in the past and knew I needed to refer to again, and this is called the Ascension glossary. The Ascension glossary is actually a free sort of Wikipedia for all things Starseed and Ascension, as the name indicates. It's created by an individual. Well, technically it's an organization, but I know it's headed by Lisa Renee, who many of you are probably familiar with. The Ascension glossary, my friends, if you have never heard of it, you need to buckle your seatbelt and really be in your sovereignty when you go in there. And it's not because it is a bad place to go. It's just because it goes down a lot of rabbit holes. It's really fun. But sometimes when I go in there, I have to stop myself because there's so much information that I have to really cater it to what I need and curate it for me. So when you go in there, and if you go in there, based on my recommendation, I just encourage you to do the same. Now remember that Ascension glossary is tapping into particular timelines and perspectives. Everything has a bias per se. And so just filter it through your own discernment, what sandboxes you want to play in, and never take anything as absolute truth because there's really no such thing as absolute truth. You can align with it or not align with it. You can pick and choose. And that's what I tend to do. I have felt that there are certain terms, verbiage that's used in there that is very, very helpful for my personal framework. And today I'm going to explore a topic in the Ascension glossary. And again, I feel very grateful for those who have put this together and offered it for free. The link to where I'm getting this from is below. And I'm basically reading through an entry, and I'm just going to do like a stop and go and kind of let you feel into it, bring in some light language, add my thoughts. All right. So this particular entry is called Planetary Gates. I was guided specifically by Spirit to share this on the podcast. So I know that there are many of you here who really could, use this information and it would benefit you. I'm going to start off by quoting, "The planetary Stargate system are the Earth's connection points or portals into the galactic and universal Stargate systems. They were once sealed off and closed, but now these Stargates are progressively opening during the Ascension cycle. The organic planetary Stargate system or universal Tree of Life Templar opening has been damaged." And then it goes on to talk a little bit about how and why, and this is that duality piece, which we know exists on our planet. And Ascension Glossary does a lot of discussion about that. In between the two paragraphs I just read, there is an image that you'll want to take a look at. But just to describe it for you, it shows 3 parallel trees of life. And this is that image you've seen oftentimes with the Kabbalah. The planetary tree of life, which has locations on the planet, these are those places that you hear a lot of grid workers going to and working with, like Lake Titicaca, and technically like the planetary chakras, as it kind of will say in just a moment here. Then there's our galactic stargates, and these are places like the Sun, Jupiter, Neptune, the planets we have in our solar system. It also then has, as above, so below. It has more macro than that, which is the universal stargates. And this is the one that corresponds quite well to the Instagram post that I referred to, where the gentleman is talking about how we each came through different stargates, passed through them on our way to incarnate on Earth. These include, but are not limited to, Lyra, Andromeda, Orion, Arcturus, Pleiades, and more. And you can take a look again at the link below if you want to find out in depth what those are. I'm going to go ahead and move forward and just tap into a few more things. So the planet Earth has a crystal body anatomy that holds many energetic constructs which form into chakras, as I mentioned. This is a word I can't get. Axiotonal lines. Thank you for helping me to pronounce that correctly through your good thoughts. Axiotonal lines, a new word. You might need to repeat that as I struggled to say it. Ley lines, we're familiar with those, that's nothing new. And the many energy vortices that make up the layers of the entire planetary auric body. Pause, I'm going to pause right there. Vortices, or vortexes, have been coming through very intensely for me lately. Interestingly enough, they've been coming forward not only from a grid work perspective, but also when I'm doing my multidimensional soul integration modality. Super fascinating. I believe that we are going to become aware of a deeper and more advanced use of vortices in all ways, shapes, and forms that will facilitate this shift in frequency that we're going through. All right, moving forward. The fact that this planet was originally created from the diamond sun architecture reveals the true creator of this planet and the progenitor of the human species. This remains the truth no matter what extraterrestrial race has planted its flag on the Earth's surface, claiming the Earth as their territory. Feeling into that, I'm just going to pause right there. You can already sense there's that, there's a little bit of duality, right? It's they did this and they did this and they did this. Now, again, I prescribe to this a little bit because we are still tuning in to reconnecting and putting together puzzle pieces around how all of this happened. In the end, we are all one. There is no us and them. Everything is an aspect of source. So every once in a while, when you start feeling that tension kind of creep up and you're hearing about these wars and that wars and these guys took over and da-da-da-da-da and all this duality stuff, just take a deep breath. Understand that just like there are different actors playing their roles on the planetary level and at the planetary level, whether it be in politics or, as leaders and things, the same thing is happening at a galactic level and beyond. There are different star races or star families also doing the same thing. They're playing a role. They're representing a density. And in the end, it just lightens up that mode a little bit. I'm going to start the next part of this paragraph, but before I do, I feel like I just want to do a little bit of light language to complement the integration and understanding of what we're doing. This is Lyran coming through. Okay, moving forward here in the Ascension glossary. Starseed grid workers may sense and work with many of these holographic constructs in the Earth grid, which form the basis of understanding the energetic architecture of the Earth consciousness body and how this structure creates the many realities and time fields. I'm going to pause right there. Time fields. Time fields. Sit with that for just a moment. What I've been sensing and things that have come through as you've been listening probably to different transmissions, this idea of the fabric of time, So there's something about these grids that are connected to time. Moving forward, the many dimensional layers in the Earth's auric body are the container for the entire collective consciousness on planet. These structures hold the content of all the consciousness that manifest into the many different kingdoms and species that exist on the Earth. They hold the point of origination for all of the collective consciousness energy that was originally seeded onto the planet and entered into the material realm from the Grail point. The Grail point is located within the planet's second dimensional stargates, with its primary access being within the Temple Mount. I'm going to stop right there again because I got a big sort of alert in my awareness when I was reading that. And there is a reason, but I just want you to sit with the concept that just came forward, this Grail point energy, this Grail point. Gaidi kinikok yapakt kok mudukok yint kashkut kom yai obarakidikot ok naktakikok nakriko krakikok mark yiktakskumbarai gorkut kimarakstokorok kotoi arkitokok umoi ititiaya. That felt like a little explanation. I'm not exactly sure where that came from, so if you're on YouTube and listening, please share in the comments where you felt like that came from, but it felt necessary before we move forward. All right, back to quoting. The planetary chakra system, also called stargates, acts to step down the higher energies transmitting from the source field into the sun, which is then directed into the many stargates. The stargates transmit an energetic spectrum of frequencies, moving from the higher to lower dimensions in order to reach the matter fields and circulate them throughout the planetary gridwork. Now, when I was reading this, it occurred to me that the situation I described to you at the very beginning of the podcast, where each of us traveled through different stargates and incarnations in order to arrive at this one, we are those frequencies. The stargates transmit an energetic spectrum of frequencies embodied in souls. I'm adding that. And these souls move from the higher to lower dimensions in different bodies. I'm kind of, playing with this here in order to reach the matter fields and circulate them throughout the planetary grid network. This is why, my friends, just being incarnated on Gaia and carrying the frequencies that you're carrying is the majority of the grid work that you're doing. Now, you may be like a chess piece, and you may be needing to move physically to different places and locations. You may be called, to who knows where. lots of people I've been talking to lately are called all over the planet. Some of them are going there physically, some of them are going astrally, but that's part of the job, is just physically embodying these frequencies, okay? Moving forward, Stargates create spirals of these energies, which are designed on a frequency scale to circulate the God source energy into reciprocal exchanges with multiple dimensions of creation. That was a mouthful. I'm going to pause and then repeat it. Take a deep breath and release any overwhelm. This is just a remembrance. I'm not telling you something new. We all knew the game plan coming into this. We are simply remembering the game plan. Let me read it again. Stargates create spirals of these energies, and I'm seeing in my mind toroidal fields, by the way, which are designed on a frequency scale to circulate the God source energy into reciprocal exchanges with multiple dimensions of creation. I'm now seeing in my third eye, I'm just going to stop the quote right there. I'm now seeing in my third eye our hearts as a toroidal field. So the field which emanates from our heart ties into this somehow. Ties into this. Moving on. The frequency scale of the spirals of energy feed back into the manifested realms of space and time, returning back into the center point of the feedback loop, thus returning to unite with the God source field. I'm hearing in my clairaudience, original divine template. I talk about original divine template. We do that in my sacred initiation journey offering. This is the same thing. There's so many things I read in the Ascension glossary, and I feel it can sometimes be a vocabulary or verbiage issue, because my guides will say, oh, well, this is, you know this too, but you say it this way. And I go, oh, okay. So allow the concepts to break through in the words and the terminology that you need. Moving on. The planetary Stargate that receives the transmission of the source field for distribution into the rest of the planetary grid system is the Grail point or Gruel point. Now, there's a whole other entry about the Grail point. You can click on it if you go to the link. I'm not going to go there with you right now, but I do want to tell you something. As soon as I read that, I heard convergence. And what I was hearing was that was the point, maybe more like a 0 point energy for me, but the Grail point, it's the same. They're telling me it's the same. That's the convergence, the 8-8 portal convergence we experienced this year. It was a reintegration, convergence, I say that word, collapsing into that Grail point. Now, the next part is super fascinating due to a topic I've been talking about lately. So, as many of us may be sensing, the transmission of the intergalactic plasma waves from the source field into the Grail point and the planetary stargates is greatly accelerating now. Dun, 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 dun. I've been talking about plasma. Yes, a lot of us have. I haven't been the only one. Many of you have been feeling it, sensing it, dreaming about it, meditating about it. You've been in communities that have talked about it. I've heard it's on TikTok. It's all over the place. This plasma energy. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Bring in your inner child, because remember, we chose to be part of this big production, this experiment, this playground. This does not have to be overwhelming. We're just describing all the rides at the amusement park right now. This is what we've created for ourselves. But I am going to move forward. Are you ready? All right. This intensifies higher sensory experiences of multidimensional bleed through, lifting the veil between dimensions. Thus, more people are sensing a variety of entities. These can be light or dark entities, lower or higher frequency entities. Sensing that people have passed their physical body, but are still existing in other dimensions on the earth plane. Have any of you experienced that? Moving forward, More people will have experiences with passed on relatives, people existing in other dimensions, seeing a variety of spiritual entities, orbs, elementals. I know you can raise your hand if that's you, because I know I can hear you. You're like, that's me, that's me, that's me. Yes, I hear you. Yes, I hear you. The intensity of the current shift amplifies an array of multidimensional experiences, and we are the experiencers in the changing of the guard to help the masses know that this is a natural result of planetary ascension. We must normalize multidimensional experiences as a healthy perception of reality in a humane society. And I'm going to go ahead and stop right there. There's a whole bunch more. Actually, you know what? No, I got to read this next sentence because this validates the 8-8 portal. Okay, I'm almost there. I promise. The planet's lowest density dimensional frequency bands and their energy vortices are gradually rolling up and dissolving into the Grail point. 8-8 portal convergence. Da-da-da-da. As the energetic contents that had existed in the lower 3 dimensions changes its location and frequency level, it is reconfigured or it is processing through the Grail point. The Grail point in our personal body resonates with the sexual organs and sacral areas, and it holds the unprocessed content of our pain body. Very fascinating, because our gathering, our conference this year was at the root chakra of the planet, Mount Shasta. Definitely something to that. There's a little bit more there, but I'm going to stop because I kind of want to bring us home and circle back to the idea of our cosmic origins. I know that you guys get that we're multidimensional. We've had many existences. I do feel there are specific cosmic families that you are carrying a duty to sort of bring that frequency onto the planet. Like, we each kind of have our contract of, oh, I'm going to show up like really Pleiadian. And it goes in phases sometimes. Like, sometimes it's like, I'm going to show up really Arcturian for the first half of my life. Then I'm going to integrate my Pleiadian self or my Andromedan self. And that's the part of me that's going to show up. And it switches. It can change from day to day. But this is what I was talking about with the fact that we have lived these multiple lifetimes. So one of the reasons that it matters, because here we come to like, but why does it matter? Why does it matter? There has been some criticism of the Starseed community hyper-focusing on our cosmic origins and ignoring like our human selves. And I get it. I'm not here saying that you need to obsess about your cosmic origins, but I am here saying that in order to experience a balanced ascension journey, it is vital that you both connect within and without, the inner parts of you and the outer parts of you. And that's really where multidimensional soul integration comes forward. This is the modality that I developed over the last 3 years and has evolved, honestly. This last cohort that we just did is different than any other one I've ever done because more and more and more information is coming through. I will continue to do it, and every time I do a new cohort, I know more is dropping in, and I'm actually adding this to the certification of the Multidimensional Soul Integration Practitioner training. It's like I'm adding all of this new information there that I'm learning, but everything that you just heard me say is about the veils thinning. We are more aware of our multidimensional selves, which includes our cosmic selves. And what is the theme for November? The overarching theme. If you have not caught that yet, the overarching theme is reconnection. Reconnection. We are reconnecting with those multidimensional, cosmic, galactic, Lyran, Pleiadian, Arcturian parts of ourselves, and we're bringing them, almost like converging them through soul integration into our Grail point of our bodies. Just thinking about that for a moment. I'm just letting that soak in because this is sort of dropping in as I'm sitting here in real time. You get to witness it. Ululuyanla, luluyanla, luluyanla, ululiyata burakinyaya. Ooh, I feel that one, and I don't know who that is. Some of you probably wonder, do you always know? No. I can tell it's star mothers. I cannot tell where they're from. So if you know and you felt where these star mothers might have come from, please tell us in the comments. Where do you feel those star mothers coming from? Oh, take a deep breath with me. They're like, you can stop now. You can push the pause button for everybody. So that's kind of what I'm going to do. My motivation today and my intention in creating this was opening a lot of doorways, helping you to understand why cosmic origins matter, helping you to understand that you have several cosmic origins, but you may truly want to focus on one or two right now and specifically do that so that you can integrate those. And so if you have a soul aspect or a parallel life come into your awareness, hey, it's an invitation. That might be a sign. It's time to integrate those soul aspects. And I've talked about this a whole bunch of times. You can integrate those on your own. I have a bunch of certified practitioners that you can integrate with those. And I'm pretty sure in December, I'm going to open up a few multidimensional soul integration spots. I've actually decided that I'm really going to be focusing in my Los Angeles office on soul integration as well, because people are walking through the door and I'm immediately getting a ping. This is a soul integration or a soul template integration, which I'll talk about at a later date. So there's definitely a theme. Just take note of it. It's not urgent. There's no urgency to this. Take a deep breath. That's important. As we're learning to bend time, another theme for November, as we're learning to mold and shape it in our hands, we are releasing pressure to get things done in a specific amount of time. When you hear a new concept like this stuff, and you're like, oh my goodness, there's like 22 rabbit holes I could go down now based on what JJ said. Okay, yeah, but you could take the next 22 years to do that and do one per year. Everything will unfold for you in the right timing, in divine timing. As long as you are in your I am presence and you are being in the present moment embodied, you will call into your field the next best step, the next natural step. It will just come to you. It will just happen. And so with this information, I set the intention. I would like to hold this intention for you, if you would allow me to, support you through it energetically, that whatever little golden nugget, breadcrumb, or puzzle piece was here for you, that you can go through that doorway and it will open up like a domino effect, more remembrance for you that is key to your mission, your purpose, and will help you get some clarity around that. For those of you who are wanting a little bit more of just the basics around the star families and what all of that means and understanding each one, and maybe, I don't know enough about, maybe you're saying I don't know enough about them to identify with any, or I've kind of felt this or that. I actually had a beautiful invitation from a friend who has a Starseed or an Ascension community in Czechia. And she invited me to do a workshop all about basically Starseed remembrance is what it is. It's understanding your cosmic origins. And I decided that I would take that workshop, which is going to be done in Czech. So it's not necessarily for, everybody. But I'm basically going to take that same template and I'm opening up a workshop in English as well. And so if you're drawn to kind of get those foundational principles around our cosmic origins and activate remembrance, because you can't leave something I do without feeling some kind of activation. And all of it's about remembrance or reconnecting with them. Then you're going to want to check the link below out. This is something that's happening at the end of the month. So You've got about 3 weeks to plan ahead and get this fit into your schedule. If you sign up for it and can't make it live, you will get the playback. And it's a little bit more structured than my normal webinar workshop stuff. I've really, really honed in on I had to be efficient because it's not like it's 2 hours. It's not very long. So I really had to pack in a lot. But I hope that it provides for so many of you who are really trying to get those foundational principles, that it provides some activation of remembrance and some basic building blocks for you. All right. So again, check out that link below if this is calling to you. Okay, my friends, one last thing. We are at the midpoint of November, and my light language group mentorship, the last one of the year and the last one until spring, is starting on the 16th of November. Now, I actually won't close the course until the 22nd of November, so depending on when you're listening to this, you can still jump in. This is the foundations of light language. If you're just starting out, you want to sort of get that activated, and lots of people have had their light language activated in this course. You can check out that link below. I would love to have you join us. There are still a few spots left. So yeah, just jump in. This is what's helping us remember these cosmic origins, is this light language. It's all hand in hand. It's all hand in hand. That being said, I'll end with some light language too. Iadakata ko riki mikakai, ukurko yamakai, ukurakura makai, ukaraketet kar ko marti koshnin knagrugoesiaya. Tuya. Another new light language. Oh my goodness. I think this is because the galactic Akashic records are beginning to anchor in the planet. And so I've got all these new light languages coming through. Even for me, I speak a lot, but I can tell when it's new. I can tell when I've never accessed it before. So thank you for holding space for me to be able to access those new languages today. I appreciate you and your willingness to be here in your energy and energetically, again, just, even though it's not simultaneous, it's asynchronous, but we're here. You can feel this beautiful container. Speaking of containers and communities, friends, please come join us in our Starseed community. We are having some incredible just moments together as more and more opens up. It's a place for you to feel validated. It's a place for you to feel not isolated. And we have a weekly live gathering. I do Q&As. We activate light language. We talk about grid work, all kinds of things. So this is something that you might feel called to do because you're needing other people that you can talk to. That being said, I want to remind you that I'm sending you so much love. And also, as always, I am you, you are me, and we are we. Bringing this to completion. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is. Until next time.